Yeah. Good morning. Who are you from other states? Okay, well, any other? So you don't understand Marathi? Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So today we will be going to have orientation for agriculture option. So who are agriculture graduates here? Everyone? No? Which? BSc? Plain BSc. Okay, fine. So see, this year agriculture has done good actually when we compare with the other subjects, because I think so in first 10 also we are getting the ranks from this year. So yes, previously there were ranks in UPSC generally overall nearly 10 to 12. Yeah, please. So 10 to 12 ranks were there from UPSC in agriculture stream every year. So we are getting that much of the ranks each year. But many of the students, they are not comfortable taking agriculture. Even the agriculture graduates, they are not taking the agriculture as an optional. So there are many myths actually when it comes to the agriculture option. But before discussing the myths, we'll just have an overlook on what agriculture is, who can take the agriculture, what is the relevance for that in GS also. So what is the pattern of the UPSC? So I will give a brief idea from the scratch. From the beginning, we will start it. Okay. So first is what is the UPSC exam pattern? So as you know that UPSC has a 3-stage: prelims, mains, and interview stage. So in the prelims, when it comes in the prelims, we have GS1 and CSAT. CSAT is again qualifying. Only the marks which we secure in GS1, they are counted for the merit list, isn't it? But in the mains, again, we have nearly four subjects: GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, and one essay paper and 2 optionals. And again, we have language papers which are qualifying in nature. And third is interview stage. You can say the most important stages here are mains and interview. Yes, prelims is also one of the important stage, but it is a screening stage where your marks are not counted for your final cutoff or the final merit. Okay, so we can say mains and interview, these are 2 most important stages in UPSC exam, which will determine your rank. So where you stand exactly in the merit list. So you will be in top 10, top 100, or out of the merit list as well. So for to come in the merit list, optional plays a very important role. So you can say optional has 500 marks weightage. Everyone knows that. So when it comes to the optional, what is the importance of the optional when it comes for the mains as well as interview? So generally we say that optional is important only for the mains part. No, as an agriculture graduate, when you go for the interview, agriculture plays an important role in your interview as well. Because see, there are thousands of candidates who go for interview. So everyone has a diverse, we can say, fields. So the panel member, they ask them the general questions, which are generally from the current affairs. But the problem is when it comes to agriculture, they have something different to ask, isn't it? So when as a graduate from, you can say, engineering, medical, or any BA or BCom, when he goes for the interview, there are various general topics. They are from current affairs mostly, or from their subject, or their optionals. But as an agriculture graduate with agriculture as an optional, when you go for the interview, generally the questions are asked from the agriculture itself, because they are getting something new, isn't it? So it's not that they are getting some general topics they have to discuss. No. Say for example, when I went for my first interview, my first question was on the GM crops. So GM crops was at that time in the news. So generally they started with that. What do you mean GM crops? What is your stand with respect to the GM crops? And generally we read about it in your optionals, isn't it? So we are in a better position to answer that question as compared to the other students, as compared to the other aspirants, isn't it? So again, agriculture also plays a very important role in means as well as interview. So interviews again, they have reduced the weightage to 275 marks, isn't it? And uh, the total comes around 20-25 marks. Okay, out of 20-25 marks, if you get 50% of the marks also, I'm talking only 50% marks, you will be in top 10. So it's not that you're getting only 50% marks means you're out of the race. You will be in top 10. Might you might know that you can come topper also if you get the 50% marks. So, but here again the optional plays an important role because 300 plus marks can be scored in agriculture optional. Many of the students they're getting 300 plus marks as compared to the other subjects. If you see, three and average is 250 to 60 marks in agriculture. So it's a very scoring subject. Firstly, when you go for this, when you compare it with the other optionals, it is a very scoring subject. Firstly, it is easy to score more than 250 to 60 marks, but yes, it is difficult to score more than 300 marks. Okay. So again, as I discussed, why it is important. Agriculture is such a subject when you compare the papers, paper 1 and 2, paper 1 optional 1 and optional 2. Okay. Optional 1, you will see the syllabus, you will see the questions, you will say, I can just go and sit in the exam and I will start writing my answers right now also. Yes, it is true. But the thing is that when we were in graduation, the things were different. What we used to do, we used to just sit for a whole night or whole day and we just used to read the notes and we used to go for the exam. But this is not the pattern for UPSC. So UPSC has a different thing. As an expert in agriculture, the examiner is expecting something else from you. As an expert, is looking towards you as an expert. See, we are not writing here GS answers. In GS, it's fine you write the general questions, general answers. But when you are writing the mains answers, what you optional answers, what he's expecting? He's expecting that technicalities, isn't it? So weed, what we say about the weed, definition of the weed, we generally write unwanted plant at unwanted place, isn't it? But what else is weed? To mention that. So what are the different scientific name? You just can't mention the weeds directly that this is the weed. We have to control in this way. Isn't it? Physical method, chemical method? No. What are the specific methods we have to use? Say, for example, you are writing a question on basic soils. Basic soil is divided again into how many classes? 3 types are there of the basic soils, is it? Can you name? No issues. So in the basic soils also, saline soil, sodic soil, alkali sodic soil, alkali saline soil. These are the 3 types of soil. So the reclamation for saline soil is different as compared to the sodic soil. It is not the same. So that needs to be understood when you're writing the mains answer. So generally, yes, we know by adding the gypsum, we can reclaim the sodic soil. But we are not adding in the saline soil. Why? What is the reason? So what do you mean by saline soil? What do you mean by sodic soil? So what are the specific differences between them? We have to mention those things. You can't just mention the pH is up to 8.5 and more than 8.5. No. But what are the other points or the technicalities in those things? You have to mention those things. Okay. So here, whenever you are preparing from the exam point of view, that needs to be understood. It's not a general thing you have to remember. So what needs to be done? First is, as an agriculture graduate, you should be technically efficient to write the answer. That technicalities has to be included. So it's not only for the GS2 because optional 2 is completely technical because we study the genetics, plant breeding, crop physiology, biotechnology, seed technology. So these are all technical things. But when it comes for the paper 1, you see the syllabus is very general. You can overlap it with GS1 as well as GS3. But here we fail to understand that here what is needed generally. Here that is needed, that is technical things. Okay, so what we have to mention it. So how to write the answer? Again, it's one of the challenge. So how to write the introduction, how to do the body, how to conclude the answer. So what has to be included? So even the question is general, static, we can link it to the current affairs, isn't it? So that linkage has to be understood. So generally, we again, what we think, okay, syllabus is static completely. Yeah, see, 80 to 90% of the syllabus, you can say it is static. But when it comes for your new technologies, have you heard about Happy Seeder? Happy Seeder, what it is? Please, yeah. Okay, so see, these are the things which you read in newspaper on the daily basis. So these points has to be noted down. These points has to be noted down because you can use this in your exam. It's not only for GS, but also for the optional. Optional is very important here. If you have to score more than 300 marks, that needs to be done. Again, in the interview, same thing is that same general points. You can predict the actually the questions which can be asked in interview for an agriculture graduate. So say, as I discussed earlier, GM crops, most favorite question of panel, UPSC panel. Each year, the repeated questions are being asked on the GM crops. Generally, they ask you the GM crops. They can ask you regarding the soil degradation, floods, isn't it? So these are the current issues which are happening in the agriculture. And now recently, the most important thing is about the climate change. So what is climate change? How it is impacting your agriculture? So how it is impacting your agriculture production? So that food security comes down. So again, the sustainable development goals. So you have to link it here. So once you have understood these things, interview becomes very easy. So that's why optional plays a very important role in the interview as well. But when it comes for the prelims also, you've seen the prelims questions from last 3-4 years, nearly 6-7 questions, they are coming directly from the agriculture, isn't it? So, but the problem here is that 6 to 7 questions are coming, but they are not easily tackled by the other students. Many of the students, they feel they're very, you can say, difficult questions. One question was there, I think so in 2016, the question was asked, drip irrigation helps in what? First, okay. It might be in different form, but a statement form was given. Okay, it reduces the alkalinity of the soil. It controls the weed growth. And again, one more question was there. So, out of these two questions, which out of these two statements, which statement is correct? Why first, not first one? Why not first one? So, what is the first statement? It helps to reduce the alkalinity of the soil.
First wrong, because alkalinity is increased because of drip irrigation.
Drip irrigation, it is increasing. It is increasing.
Yes.
Why?
pH is increasing.
Why? How good? Say for example, now you are going for the flood irrigation or region 4 irrigation. Okay, and you are going for the drip irrigation. Where will be the salinity more? Where will be the pH increases? Flood or the ridges and furrows, not in the drip irrigation. But the thing is that it doesn't reduce the pH of the soil. It maintains the pH of the soil. It doesn't allow to increase or it doesn't allow to reduce. How can you reduce the pH of the soil? Only by adding some amendments, isn't it? So that things we need to understand. So many of the crops has been asked repeatedly in the prelims. Yes, in the prelims. Which are the crops they are asking generally? Yeah, they are asking, isn't it? C3 plants they have asked. Yeah. So those are the things which helps us to have an edge over the other students. Agriculture students, they will be having at least 15 mark edge in the prelims as compared to other students. Why? Because of this pattern. So because 6 to 7 questions are generally asked in the UPSC prelims, each year you are having an edge. So optional will help you in this regard. So now I discussed one question. Even you are agriculture graduates, you are unable to clearly give the answer, isn't it? So you might fail over there to get that extra marks which the other students fail to get. Again, which the other students whose conceptual clarity is great, he will be able to give that answer easily, isn't it? So that is where we need to have that conceptual clarity very well. It's not only just read, just remember, and just go and write over there. You have to understand what is the concept. So what is the reason for that? So whenever you understand these things, only that, then only you're going to get more marks, isn't it? So we go for the puddling in the paddy. So what is the reason for the puddling in the paddy? So what will be the reason?
Irrigation.
What irrigation? Yeah. So I think so. Last year, this year, I guess, one question was asked on SRI methods. What is SRI method? Yeah. System of rice intensification, isn't it? Where alternate wetting and drying is done. So the question was asked in the prelims. So I think so. Nobody knows here. There is the alternate wetting and drying. So it's the combination. You can say it is a combination of upland paddy and lowland paddy. When you understand those things, those 2 points, upland paddy, what do by upland paddy and lowland paddy, then you can easily give the answer for this question. So such type of questions in depth they are asking, which is a part of your optionals. So here, what I'm trying to tell you is that 7 to 8 marks, not marks, questions, 6 to 7 questions, you are getting easily from because of this optional. Okay. So how to choose an optional? How to choose an optional? Many of the you guys also, many of them must have decided because my friend is taking optional, I'll just go and take the optional. Is that right way to take the optional? No, because you know your strengths and weaknesses, isn't it? You know where you are good at, in which subject you are good at, whether optional agriculture will be suitable for you or not. That will be understood by you only. It's not because my friend is going, so I will just take the optional. Previously, it was the case. 10 years back, the geography was doing great, PSR was doing great, Bapat was doing great. So generally people used to see, okay, my senior is taking that optional, so just I will go and take that optional. But right now that is not the case. We have to just think overall where my optionals will help and what does need to see when choosing the optional. So what is the first thing? So what is your background? Many of the people say background doesn't matter actually, but according to me, it does matter. Because see, as an agriculture graduate, most of the syllabus, 70 to 80% of the syllabus you have already learned in your graduation, isn't it? So not much has to be done. Not much efforts has to be taken by you to complete the syllabus first, to understand most of the concept. But from the exam point of view, you need to know that what exactly has to be done. It's not just take the notes and just read it and go and sit for the next day's exam. It doesn't work out in UPSC. So what exactly has to be done? So how the things has to be interrelated. So the question has been asked a significance and you are writing the advantages. No, you have to understand what the demand of the question is. Firstly, background helps you, because background why helps you? Because you can easily cover that syllabus. But you need to understand the demand of the exam first, demand of the questions first. If you're not able to understand what exactly has been asked in the question, will you able to fulfill the demand of the question? No. So that needs to be understood when you are sitting in the exam. Okay. So from that point of view, you have to start studying. You have to start studying from that point of view. You have to start linking the things, interlinking the things. So generally, one question has been asked. It doesn't mean that you have to write only from that points. You can link it with the current issues. You can link it to the other topics. when the question has been come on the food processing industry, you can link it with the India's current situation from food security point of view. So hunger, poverty, isn't it? Sustainable development goals. You can link these topics to these points, to these issues. So that has to be understood again. So what needs to extra added in the exam, in the points, when you're writing the points, say for example, you're writing some points. Okay, so the yield of the Indian agriculture is increasing. But how can you justify that? How can you justify? Okay, because you are saying that the food grain is increasing, the production of the food grain is increasing, the examiner should trust you. You have to add something else there, isn't it? Some data you have to include it there. So you can just draw a flow chart over there. You can just draw a flow chart or a graph over there. So you can just show how the food production has been increasing from last 5 years or 1 decade. So that has to be maintained in your paper. Okay. So second thing is the interest. If you're not interested, you won't be able to study at all. Forget about understanding the subject. Forget about understanding the concept. You won't study at all. You won't take the book at all. So the thing is that when you have interest in something, then only you start to prepare in that way, isn't it? So even that subject is difficult, never mind. But whenever you have that interest, you start reading it. You start taking the efforts to make it understand. So what exactly has to be done for this subject, you will do that things. So in graduation, the same thing, whatever it was with you, it was same with me. Okay, just read it, just go in the next day exam and just write it. Okay, but when I started to prepare for my UPSC preparation, the botany subject, when I started plant breeding, genetics, I found it very interesting. So that's why I used to get more marks in paper 2, not in paper 1, because I took the interest in it. I understood what exactly is botany at that time. So biotechnology, most of you students, you must not have been understood many of the concepts in graduation. It was going overhead. But when we study here, you will understand how easy it is. How easy it is. Because the thing is that you have to create that interest. If interest is there, you will easily learn it. See, there are two persons. One is not understanding at all what is cell, but one easily understands it. Why? What is the reason? See, intellectual level might be playing a role here, but if you are interested, you will easily understand it. So interest also plays a very important role again. Thirdly, whether you are understanding the topic or not, whether you are understanding the subject or not. I have the interest, okay, fine, but I'm not able to understand the subject at all. So take for example other subjects as well. So if you go for other subjects, you can compare. Some subjects you fail to understand. Many of the topics, they are very difficult to understand. If you're not able to understand, what is the use? So understanding is firstly important. So if you're understanding something, then only you will able to write it on the paper, isn't it? So understanding of the subject is important first. If you understand, you can correlate the things. If you understand, you will understand what has been exactly asked in the question, whether it is significance or the advantages, whether it is significance or the need. So these 10 words will tell you what exactly has to be written and how you are linking your points to the demand of the question. That plays a very important role. So understanding of the topic and the concepts is important. If your concepts are weak, if you're not able to understand the concepts, you won't be able to write what exactly has been asked in the question, isn't it? So this is again one of the important point. Fourth is the trend. Okay, trend. Now people say that only 10-12 students qualify from the agriculture, isn't it? Tell me how many students are taking agriculture as an optional? Hardly 100 students, they take the agriculture as an optional, isn't it? So out of 100, you are getting 10 to 12 number of students who are qualifying in the merit list. Isn't that a great number? If you see the other numbers as well, if you see for the other subjects, nearly 1500, 2000 or 2000, 2.5K students, they are taking other optionals. But out of that, what is the number of percentage of the students qualifying for the means for the final merit list? There are only 10%, 150, 140, 130. So it's not that agriculture is not playing a very great role in your qualifying the exam. No, again the ratio is same, proportion is the same. So number of students, they are 80 to 90. So again you are getting 10, 12 merits. So you have to see the trend, how the subject is doing in the market. You have to see how the marks are getting. So many of the subjects, by doing less, you are getting more marks. But by doing more, you are getting less marks. By taking more efforts, you are getting less marks. Generally, there are such subjects. I don't want to name it here, but the thing is that those are the subjects where you need to take much efforts, but you are getting average marks. Particular subjects, take for example, the subjects are there where you're taking more efforts as compared to agriculture, but you are getting average mark. But if you take the same level of efforts for the agriculture, you can get 280 to 90, about 300 marks as well. You can get it, isn't it? So what are the scores again? How the people writing the means, they're scoring. Even a student from agriculture optional, if he's getting 250 marks, he's not qualifying for the interview. This is the case. Why? Because he's not getting the marks in GS. That is the reason. But what we generally say, out of 80, we are getting only 50 or 20, 25, 30 students in the interview. This is the problem. They're not understanding what exactly is the reason behind not many of the students qualifying for the interviews. But if you see the other subjects, 240 to 50 marks, they're in the merit list. The students with 250 to 60 marks, even they're in the merit list, because why? They're doing great in the GS option essays, isn't it? As well as in the interview as well. So they're getting the ranks. So that thing we have to understand. So whatever efforts you are taking, that much more marks you will score. Okay. So why agriculture now? Why agriculture? So first thing is that it is technical in nature. If you see the syllabus, you will find that it's technical in nature. It's not dynamic. 80 to 90% of the syllabus is static. So whatever you read it, same things will be asked in your exam. Just C3, C4. What do you mean by C3 and C4? Paper 2. Okay. Give the examples of C3 and C4. Krebs cycle. They will generally ask this thing. PS1 system, PS2 system. Go and just ask. Just write it down there. But again, the thing is that in paper 1, there are again technicalities. Do you know precision farming? Precision farming, what does it mean? What is precision farming?
By using GPS, GIS.
Okay, these are the components, you can say. These are the components in the precision farming. Last year, one question was asked in means site-specific nutrient management. Last year's means question was that site-specific nutrient management. Have you gone through last year's paper? Previous year's questions? No? Just go through the last year's questions. Okay, now the question is, we learn precision farming, but we don't study about site-specific nutrient management. But both are not different, both are same. When it comes for the precision farming, you are going for the management of each and every input. But when it comes for the site-specific nutrient management, you are only going for the nutrient management by using precision farming. That again needs to understand. So that conceptual clarity is very important. So one thing, when you are understanding of the point is different, but how you are applying your knowledge in the exam, that is different. Quality protein means production. Quality protein means production. The question was asked previously. So generally what now students say, okay, what to write, we don't know. What is the cultivation practice, we don't know. But what extra you have to write it here, only just two things. Only just two things. One is the variety and second is the isolation distance. Everything has to be written same. But the thing is that you need to understand that first. That needs to be understood. You're not able to understand, so what you think, it is very difficult. So even when you write quality protein means cultivation practices, you can just write a short note. You can make a box over there and you can just mention it there. Apec 3 gene. Apec 3 gene is the gene which controls the protein content in the maize. If you mention that thing also, you will get more marks. More than 50% of the mark you can get for this question. So that has to be understood. This is the technicalities which you have to mention in your exam. So as I discussed, site-specific nutrient management, this quality protein maize cultivation. So when we see the questions in this type, you can easily say that it is technical in nature. But the thing is that it is very easy. But that needs to be understood. Okay. So here the questions are repeated. In the paper, in the agriculture optional, if you see the previous year's questions, the questions have been repeated each year, isn't it? So what do you mean by upland paddy cultivation? Go see the question, how many times the question has been repeated. Crop weight competition, critical growth stages. The question has been repeated again and again. Each year the questions have been repeated. Yeah. So it's not that thing that the questions are not being repeated. It's because it is technical. The syllabus is static. You can predict the questions as well. You can predict the questions as well. Because syllabus is static. It's not dynamic. See, dynamic questions will be coming. But where? In paper 2, the last topic about the food security. We have one topic, the food security. That is the last topic. The question can be asked in your extension education. Most neglected subject of agriculture is the extension education. But this is the subject which plays a very important role in the development of agriculture. We never understand this. So generally, you can get a question for this, the dynamic questions in your economics, extension, and food security, not in other. Yeah, in other subjects also, in the other topics also, you will get the question, but it should be of the current relevance. So say for example, what is the impact of the climate change on the agriculture? Agriculture food production, you can say. So such type of questions can be asked. Okay, but this will be only hardly 10 to 15%, but 80 to 85% the questions will be same. 80 to 85% of the questions will be same. It will not be a different type of questions. Okay. So secondly, again, as I said earlier, it is very easy to understand. Agriculture is very easy to understand. Don't make a phobia. Don't make a mindset that agriculture is a difficult subject. Because of that only the students are, see, this is one type of myth, that it is very difficult to understand firstly. Because in graduation, we were not able to understand what do you mean by C3 cycle, C4 cycle, or the biotechnology part as well. So we fail to generally understand it in the graduation. So we generally decide that we won't be able to understand it in UPSC as well. But this is not the case. So it is one of the myth again. So again, the second myth is the syllabus is very vast. So generally, many of the students you might have heard that they're not taking agriculture as an optional because they think that it is very vast. But they don't understand that only specific things has to be done. Specific things has to be done. What we generally think, we have to read all the pests and diseases. We have to do that. Does question has been asked on the pest? Just mention the pest of this crop and just give the control measure for this pest. Storage crane pest is asked repeatedly, not the other pest. Diseases can be asked, but only for the specific crops, not for the all the crops. What we generally look for the field crops. We make a list for the 10, 15, 20 crops, make the list, pest and diseases for all these things. For the horticulture crops again. No, that is not the case. We have to understand that thing, that specific things we have to do only. If you are going specifically, it is easy to cover a syllabus very quickly. Okay. So that is one again myth, that it is a very vast syllabus. But I started my agriculture as an optional after my prelims. It took me nearly 2.5 months to cover agriculture syllabus. I'm talking only 80%. 20% I just left it because I went through the previous year's questions. Okay, how the questions were being asked. So I decided to leave the topics which are not generally asked by UPSC, and it worked out actually. It worked out because out of 8 questions, you have to just answer 5 questions, isn't it? So you might be knowing the pattern of the paper. Do you know? So there are generally 8 questions. In section 1, section A, 4 questions, section B, 4 questions. So in the section A, first question is compulsory. And section B, 5th question is again compulsory. Okay. So this first and 5th question has to be attempted. You can't leave them. So again, out of 6 questions, you have to attempt 3 questions. But from at least from section A and B, at least one question you have to attempt. So you can attempt 3 questions from section A and 2 questions from section B, or 2 questions from section A and 3 questions from section B. So that has to be done. One of my friend, in his first attempt, what he did, that he attempted first and 5th question. Okay, fine. But remaining 3 questions he attempted from section A. But he got the service. Okay, he got the service. He got IRS actually. Okay, he got the IRS customs. But just think that 50 marks he lost. 50 marks. Out of 50 marks, even if he could have got 10, 15 marks also, he could have become IPS, or can't say IS as well. So those are the mistakes generally many of the freshers they do. So whenever you go for the exam, try to understand the pattern as well. Okay. So the thing is that agriculture is easy to understand, but again the thing is that from the exam point of view, from UPSC point of view, not from the graduation. See, in the graduation something was different, but here it is totally different. Don't compare graduation with UPSC. It is totally different. Again, the myth is that only the people with the MSc background should take the agriculture optional. Who told you? See, in the MSc, we study only a particular subject, isn't it? Not the entire agriculture. For the MSc student also, he might be good at his own subject, but not in other subject. Let's take, for example, here, he's only MSc in animal husbandry. Animal husbandry. Is animal husbandry a part of your agriculture optional syllabus in UPSC? It's not that. So what he will do? Okay, so don't see that only the MSc students can take agriculture as an option. So don't think that thing. Okay, you have to compete with those people or those aspirants who are MSc graduate or PhD graduate. No, because they study only a specific subject, not all the agriculture. Okay. Third, why again agriculture? It is first we said it is technical in nature. Second, easy to understand. Third, it is scoring again. Okay. So average marks, at least you can get 250 marks. If you study for 3 months at least in a good way, at least you can get 250 marks. But more than that, you have to do more. Okay. Fourth is important for IFS. How many are targeting IFS? Only one. Only one. Why not others? Is not that important exam. So see, again, I can understand that everyone here is there for becoming IS and IPS. But Indian Forest Service is also an all India services. There are only 3 all India services in India. 2 are from civil service and 1 is IFS. So why you are giving the secondary treatment for IFS? I'm not saying you divert from civils to IFS, but rather than getting the lower rank in UPSC, you go for IFS. So it is also important. Keep this aside the discussion. Okay, we'll come back. So again, agriculture is very important for IFS as well. So many of the students, they are getting more than 240 to 50 marks out of 400. In Indian Forest Service, the optional is for 400 because we have to take their 2 optionals. Each optional is for 400 marks. Okay, and there also the students, aspirants are getting 240 to 50 marks easily. First, secondly, you have to take the second optional. You can go for the botany. Why for botany? Because botany paper 2 and agriculture paper 2 is completely same. 80% of the syllabus overlaps with botany paper 2. Even in botany paper 1, most of the topics we are again covering in your agriculture paper 2. Say for example, the disease cycle or the diseases, all these are asked in the botany 1, which we will be generally studying in your agriculture paper 2. So microbiology is again asked, isn't it? So that will be also be a part of our paper 2. So it plays important role in IFS exam as well. Okay, and lastly, state services. From next year, MPC has changed the syllabus now. It's just a copy paste of UPSC now. You have to study this optional for your state services as well. So previously it was a different thing. Previously you have to study MPC in a different way, UPSC in a different way. But now you can combine your preparation with UPSC for the MPSC. Okay. Okay, fine. You stick to UPSC, but you are also getting a chance to go for the state services. So same thing you have to study for the state services also. Secondly, from next year, again, what they have done, whatever the gazetted posts are there, it may be from the technical. So that has been done in the written language. In the written, you have to write down the answers. It is not now objective. From next year also, agriculture services will be same. You have to write the means answers. Subjective answers will be there for the means. It won't be objective from next year also. So again, for state services, this is important. Okay. Now, what is the syllabus? If you see the syllabus, it overlaps with the GS part. So in the GS1, GS3, and essay, the syllabus is overlapping. If you see in the GS1 again, geography. Okay, you can say the land reforms. Yeah, it is a part of GS3 as well, but it can be asked in GS1 as well, isn't it? So soil, again, soils of India. Generally, we have in yeah. GS3 again, it is again technical in nature. Allelopathy, once the question was asked in 2017, I guess 2017 or 2018. Allelopathy was asked in GS3. No one knew this answer. Even agriculture graduates, they don't know what to do by allelopathy. So the senior members actually don't remember the concepts. So we're given 4 or 5 means in other optionals, they generally forget this type of questions or the concepts. So they were not able to write the questions specifically from agriculture. So generally 4 questions are being there in GS3 each year, 4 questions at least. So the land reforms are being asked. So this type of questions, allelopathy is been asked, biotechnology questions are being asked in GS3 again. In GS1 again, it is a part of again geography. Okay, it is a part of again geography. There you will get some questions from agriculture as well. And thirdly, in the essay. So in the essay, yes, you can't write completely essay on agriculture. Yes, if the topic is completely agriculture, it will help you. But generally, some dimensions can be covered from agriculture part. Some dimensions. So it may be your soil conservation, or it may be your economics. See, nowadays agriculture, it's in current. Many issues are taking place. So the farm bill, All of you have been aware of the farm bill, isn't it? So it was in news. So what are the reforms needed in the marketing? Because in the economics you have one topic, agriculture marketing, isn't it? So have that question. You can get a question on that in optional as well as in GS. So we have to study that thing. So what are the reforms we need to bring in the agriculture marketing in India? So, or what are the steps taken by the government of India with respect to the agriculture marketing? What are the new trends? What are the new extension trends taking place in India? So previously only the SMS was there, or the journals were used to go to the farmers, or radio was there. But now, what are the different things? WhatsApp is there, Telegram is there, Facebook, Instagram. These are the new platforms where you can spread your agriculture related knowledge, and you can use these services to spread the agriculture. So it is one of the marketing trend, you can say. So these things you need to understand. Okay, so this is part of your GS3 as well as your optionals as well. Okay, so again in essay also you can cover the various dimensions. Climate change. Climate change again is a part of your environment. In agriculture, first topic is ecology, isn't it? In ecology, you will be studying most of the parts from the environment. So climate change you will be studying. So different initiatives of the government you will be studying. So what are the different initiatives at the global level also you will be studying. So what is the impact of the climate change on Indian agriculture? That has to be studied again. Natural resources, yes. Again, the natural resources. So most of the part again is overlapping in GS3 as well as in the essay as well. So this part has to be included in your essay. So these dimensions has to become in your essay. Okay, so here overlapping of the syllabus is there in GS1, GS3 and essay. Okay. To know any questions? Any offline, online students? Any questions? See, don't hesitate to ask the questions. Okay. Feel free to ask the questions. Okay. Yes, Ashwini, please. You can unmute yourself, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I'm audible, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Sir, I completed my graduation from BSc Nursing, and I'm not from agriculture background, but
Okay.
I had biology in 11th, 12th, and crop science. So can I take agriculture as an optional subject?
Yeah. Thank you, Ashwini, for the question. See, many of the students again they have doubts who can take agriculture as an optional. But the thing is that whoever with the technical background, having some science background, he can easily take as an agriculture as an optional. Because again, many of the students from the botany, from animal husbandry or the veterinary science, they study the botany as in their graduation. They can easily understand what we mean by genetics. Again, the plant breeding is the part of their syllabus, isn't it, for the botany students, the zoology students? Because see, generally, paper one can be understood by anyone. It's not only that only the agriculture graduate can understand paper one. But when it comes for the paper two, optional paper two, you have to need some background of the science. So you need to understand the concepts related to genetics, plant breeding, or physiology. So science background student can understand these things. Yes, arts and commerce background students, no, completely no. I just suggest to go for the humanities subject for arts and commerce students. But whoever from the science background, he can easily take the agriculture as an optional. Secondly, nowadays engineering background students are taking the agriculture as an optional. Even if you go in Indian Forest Service, there are very limited options because there are only science related options you can take. There is no geography, there is no PSR, there is no Bapat, history. All these subjects are not available for your forest services. So you have to take the science related subjects. So many students from even from agriculture engineering, they are taking the agriculture as an optional and they are scoring nearly 300 marks. Botany students, they are scoring nearly 300 plus in civil services. Zoology students, they are getting nearly same number of marks. Even the botany students, they are not going for the botany as an optional. Because see, whenever you see the botany as an optional, it is very at the molecular level. Agriculture is the general level. Whatever we study, it's as the general level. But when you study botany, you have to study from the molecular level. So we generally say your nucleus, the nuclear envelope, isn't it? It has the pores, isn't it? So that pores, the structure of that pore has to be studied in botany. The structure of the pores also. So that much of the molecular level you have to study. But here in agriculture, the general idea of the science can help you to understand agriculture. So even if it is in 11th and 12th, if you have even botany or biology as your subject, it will help you. Because again, in biology, we have studied cell, isn't it? Mendel's laws, all these things we have studied. So it is fine if you're from any other stream, but only the condition is that some science background you need to have. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Monica, just now I have discussed regarding that. Even engineering students, engineer graduates are taking the agriculture as an optional. So many of them feel they're afraid to take other options, humanity options. Because again, I'm repeatedly telling that agriculture is very technical in nature and the syllabus is very static. So many times the questions have been repeated. The thing is that you have to understand from exam point of view what exam is demanding from you. So we have to adjust to the demand of the exam, to the UPSC. UPSC doesn't adjust to our needs, isn't it? We have to adjust to UPSC. So that is where we need to have to understand what is the demand of the exam. If you're clear with the demand of the exam, if you're clear with the demand of the questions, what has been asked by the UPSC, it is easy to score more marks. So even if you're from the engineering background, you can take agriculture as an option. There is no issue. Okay. Yes, see, Monica, see, taking agriculture will be a great if you're from science background. Okay, so next is the syllabus now. Coming to the syllabus now. When you look to the syllabus, it looks very vast because the cropping cultivation practices only will include nearly 20 crops from the field crops from the agronomy, isn't it? But we have to again study horticulture crops. In the horticulture crops, again we have some classifications. Fruit crops are there, vegetables are there, flowers are there, medicinal crops are there, isn't it? So, but this is not needed actually. Any question on medicinal crops up to now? Medicinal crop? When? What they have asked? Okay. Have they asked specifically the cultivation practice of the medicinal plants? No. Have they asked specifically about the spices? No. Have they asked regarding the cultivation practices? See the recent trend, 5 to 6 years. If you see the questions, they're specifically focusing only on the few crops, not all the crops. From the horticulture crops, they're focusing on the 8 to 10 crops, fruit crops. I'm talking about fruit crops. Vegetables, again, 7 to 8. Flowers, 7 to 8. Agronomical crops, or the field crops, you can say. Again, these are only 5 to 6 crops, not more than that. Again, pest and disease. We say generally pest and disease. Okay, fine. Cultivation practices. In the cultivation practices, you have to write the control measures. practices for this pest and disease. Okay, fine. But they are not too depth, because again you have to cover the other points when you are writing the cultivation practices. What is the primary tillage, again the spacing, seed rate, fertilizer dose, isn't it? So that has to be again covered. So not much emphasis has to be given for the pest and diseases, because they never ask any of particular pest. They never ask pest of this mango. Even they ask, you can skip that question also, because you have options for them. They will ask you the diseases of specific horticulture crops. Horticulture crops, yeah, they can ask you the questions. Cultivation practices of the fruit crops, diseases of some horticulture crops, or the flowers. But we have to see why these questions are being asked. If you see the trend, these are crops are very important when it comes from the India's agriculture point of view. So think in that way. Generally, don't see UPSC is not only sticking to the syllabus. You have to see what is going on in India completely. So generally, you have to understand the trend. If you understand what crops are being focused right now, oil palm, the question can be asked, isn't it? Oil palm is one of the important crop now. That can be asked. So how you will promote organic farming in northeastern states of India? Why the question has been asked? The question has been asked how you will promote organic farming in the northeastern states. Why the question has been asked?
They are using more fertilizers.
Is that they are using more fertilizers? No. When it comes to the states like Punjab, Haryana, if you see the number, yes, please. See, as compared to the Punjab and Haryana, the states of northeastern states of northeastern India, they're using comparatively less fertilizers.
I thought they are not.
No, northeastern states.
Sir,
Have already fertilized soil.
Yes. It is one of the reasons. Yeah.
Sir, I might be wrong, but there are a large amount of shifting agriculture.
Yeah, definitely. See, what do you mean by shifting agriculture again? Shifting cultivation. When it comes for the shifting cultivation, they are depending completely on the nature. So the restoration of the fertility, it's through the natural process. It's not by adding your chemical fertilizers, isn't it? The thing is that much of the area is not brought under agriculture in the northeastern states. So many of the land, large amount of land, it is virgin land. What do you mean virgin land again? Which is not under cultivation first, isn't it? So secondly, we are getting there more organic manures as compared to the other states. So again, as you said, shifting cultivation is there, which can be converted into organic farming easily, because the tradition or the religious or the cultural practices in the northeastern states, they are from, it is different as compared to other, because they rely more on the nature. And whenever you are using the natural resources, it is easy to convince those people, isn't it? And again, because of the flooding, each year the soil is regenerated, fertility is restored because of the flooding. So that has to be understood. This has been asked as a question for your optionals, not as a part of GS. So how can you promote horticulture in northeastern states? So why this question has been asked, you have to understand that. So we have a separate ministry for northeastern states. Why only horticulture mission is for northeastern states? Specifically for the northeastern states, we have some horticulture mission. Why not in the other parts of the country?
For the conservation of soil due to heavy rainfall.
Is it only for the conservation of soil? So what about climate then? So is not that the climatic conditions there, it is suitable for growing of the horticulture crops? So that has to be understood. So these are the concepts which you need to see. Okay, whenever you are reading the news, current affairs, you have to see whether it can be related to your UPSC exams or not. Means 2 year, it might be from GS or optionals as well. So you can make a notebook for that. So whenever you start preparing agriculture as an optional, you can take a notebook. Just see, your syllabus has to be in your mind. It has to be imprinted in your brains. Whenever you see any news, you have to understand whether it is for the GS 1, 2, 3, 4 or essay or your optionals. Okay, so syllabus is very important. Again, to correlate the things with the current affairs. So when you see paper 1, the first is the ecology. First topic is about ecology, isn't it? So ecology, again, it is the part of GS also. Again, you will be studying it here. At least 1 or 2 questions can be asked, very easy questions. But again, you have to be very specific with respect to the environment or the ecology topic. So which are the methods for the conservation of natural resources? In situ, ex situ, okay.
National parks, botanical garden.
Okay. So, okay, just tell me what do you mean by natural resource now? Is it only plants and animals?
Water.
Isn't it? It is the biotic as well as non-biotic components of the environment. So you have to address these parts as well. Do not focus only on one part of the topic, because they have generally asked about the natural resources. Okay, so you have to be very specific. So all the components has to be included, all the dimensions has to be included. Okay, so here climate change, very important topic. Agroecology, in that agroclimatic zones, repeated questions has been asked. Agroclimatic zones, this question has been asked repeatedly. Agroecological zones and the cropping pattern in different agroecological zones and agroclimatic zones. Here the questions are being asked repeatedly. Okay. The concept of various cropping and farming systems, same topic is there in your agriculture economics also, the same topic. So now here you have to understand different terminologies. Which are the different terminologies with respect to the farming and cropping systems? So what do you mean by cropping system and what do you mean by cropping pattern? Is there a difference or both are the same? What is cropping pattern? Yeah. What is meant by cropping pattern?
The cropping pattern is हम एक पर्टिकुलर लैंड पे हर साल एक ही प्रकार मतलब as like monocropping की प्रैक्टिस करते हैं.
Okay.
लेकिन जब क्रॉपिंग सिस्टम की बात आती है तो सर उसमें एक सिस्टम, तो यहाँ पे वो ब्रॉडर सेंस में.
Okay. We generally say respiratory system, digestive system. So why generally we say that?
It's a system.
System.
It's a
Matlab,
group of
yeah,
different-
group of activities, different group of activities. That is actually cropping system. So here the management is important. Okay. And cropping pattern, what do you mean by cropping pattern? You just go in the farm now. If you have a 10 hectares of land, you just go in the farm and whatever the crops are being grown, whatever the area is being divided for different activities, say for example, cultivation of the cash crops, cultivation of the food crops, cultivation of the oil seeds, animal husbandry, fodder crops. So this is nothing but the pattern. So again, which are the different concepts? So relay cropping, alley cropping, mixed cropping, vertical farming, isn't it? So these terminologies are being asked in your exam again. Okay, so they can ask for here the differences. So relay cropping, alley cropping, or relay cropping and sequential cropping. So they can ask the differences over here. Next important thing is the organic farming. Again, most important topic from exam point of view, organic farming. Why? Because government of India is very much emphasizing on organic farming nowadays. From last few years, organic farming has been promoted by government of India. That's why the question can be asked repeatedly each year on the organic farming. So not only organic farming, but the topics related to organic farming. What are the topics related to organic farming?
Precision and conservation.
Conservation farming. Okay, precision farming. Again,
management, pest or disease management,
Okay, integrated you can say. Huh? Okay, biological pest control. Okay, fine. But the new concept.
Export.
Okay, from export point of view, organic farming, it can become as a part of your paper 2 last topic, or it can come as a part of your agriculture economics. Zero budget farming, have you heard? Zero budget natural farming. Okay, government has made a special provision in budget last year. Zero budget natural farming. The question can be asked on zero budget natural farming. Subhash Palikar, yeah, is the concept of Subhash Palikar, isn't it? So that question can be asked again. So what are the advantages, disadvantages? Questions can be asked from this point. Okay.
Soil health. To maintain soil.
Yeah, these are the advantages we can say. It's not only the soil health. There are different again advantages when it comes for the zero budget natural farming. Okay, so we will discuss it when we start the classes. Okay, don't worry about that. So next is the cropping pattern in different agroclimatic zones, as I told you right now. Yeah. Now, important features and scope of various types of forest plantations, such as social forestry, agroforestry, and natural forestry. Again, repeated questions has been asked on agroforestry, social forestry. So the difference can be asked. There is one concept: shifting cultivation and tonga cultivation. What we generally think it's the same thing, isn't it? But the question has been asked, what is the difference between shifting cultivation and the tonga cultivation? The question has been asked, differences. What do you mean by agroforestry and agroastrology? The question has been repeated, I think so, twice it has been asked in civil services and twice in the forest services. Agroastrology. What do you mean by agroastrology? I think so most of you have hearing this term newly. Study of grasses. It is the agroastrology. So the difference has been asked. Okay. So such questions can be asked. It is repeated. Agroforestry has been repeated. What are the advantages of the agroforestry? It is again repeated. Okay. So the tonga cultivation, it is again repeated. So the different agroforestry systems in different zones of India, agroclimatic zones of India, they have asked. So in which zone, what type of agroclimatic zone this agroforestry can be cultivated, can be practiced. So here again, you need to understand the concepts. Okay, once you understand the concept, you can use your logic to attempt these questions. Because see, you don't have any other choice to attempt if it is asked as a part of question 1 or question 5. In question 1, you will be getting 5 sub questions. In question 5, you will be getting again 5 more sub questions. If they ask agroforestry in Indo-Gangetic Plain, it has been asked already. Indo-Gangetic Plain, how agroforestry can be cultivated or practiced. So you need to understand the Indo-Gangetic Plain first. You need to understand. See, when it comes in the geography, you can study about Indo-Gangetic Plain. That knowledge you can apply it here. So what is the climatic conditions over there? So what is the, you can say, water availability over there? How is the land? How is the soil? Based on that, you can just tell what agroforestry practices can be done there. So that has to be applied. So application of knowledge again is important here. Okay. So next topic again is the weeds. In weeds, specific topics has been focused particularly. So what are the benefits of weeds has been also asked. Weeds are not always harmful. They are also beneficial, isn't it? So what are the different classifications of the weed? Again, crop weed competition, critical period of crop weed competition. This questions has been asked. Pesticides. So how you will control the weeds in the upland paddy or the lowland paddy? These questions has been asked. Again, the in agronomy, the question has been asked on, I guess, rice wheat cropping system or cropping pattern. The question has been asked. So repeatedly in the northern India, if you go in the Indo-Gangetic Plain itself, repeatedly each year, same practice is done. Rice wheat, rice wheat, rice wheat. So what you have to generally write it here. So what do you mean by that? rice wheat cropping system. So what are the advantages, disadvantages, why it is generally practiced over there? So those things you need to understand. Okay. So again, in the weed science, you can say the classification of weedicides or the herbicides. It has been asked chemical composition of the based on the chemical composition of the herbicides. The classification has been asked. Okay. And again, integrated weed management. Next topic is about the soil. Under soil, most important topic is the acidic and basic. Reclamation of acidic soils and the basic soils. Then essential plant nutrients, which is also the part of your crop physiology. Plant functions of the different plant nutrients. It is again the part of your crop physiology. On this, questions has been asked. What do the classifications of the nutrients, macro, micro? This has been asked again. So these types of questions are being generally asked in the soil science. Biofertilizer, a short note can be asked in the biofertilizers. The most favorite topic again is the losses of nitrogen in the soil, nitrogen use efficiency in submerged rice soil, nitrogen fixation in the soil. Now here, losses of nitrogen in the soil, but here the question is asked that losses of nitrogen under submerged soil. Why submerged soil? Rice, isn't it? Rice is cultivated on a large scale in India. So generally, losses of nitrogen takes place under submerged conditions more because it is mobile. When it comes for the P and K, they're less mobile as compared to N. So only that is the reason we add nitrogen in split doses. Under rainfed conditions, how many split doses are there? Generally, we go for 2. If it is irrigated, we generally go for the 3 split doses, isn't it? When you are pass out, 2021 who is pass out, 2022 who is pass out, 2021, 22. You have to answer these questions. Okay, so what are the why these losses takes place and how these losses takes place under submerged conditions in the nitrogen? Okay, you need to understand this because this is one of the favorite topic of the UPSC generally asked. Okay, then nitrogen use efficiency in submerged rice soil. Not only nitrogen use efficiency, but also P and K use efficiency. Okay, because why again P and K? Phosphorus and potassium. Why potassium nutrient management is very much important in India.
Don't have that much of potential.
What is the recommended fertilizer dose in India? NPK. What is the ratio?
Nitrogen is high.
Yeah, why?
The soil which Indian soils are very like
Deficit in nitrogen,
yes.
isn't it? So is that P and K is also deficit in India? K is very important. Why? Yeah, the production of potassium.
Potassium is they are importing
100% of the potassium is imported. So that's why government is again emphasizing on the potassium use efficiency. Why generally urea? Again, if you see the urea, we go for neem coated urea. Question can be asked in the prelims for you. Okay, neem coated urea. What is the advantage of this neem coated urea? The prelims can be in the question can come in the prelims. Yes, नाइट्रोजन लॉस कम करता है, लेकिन आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि नाइट्रोजन लॉस क्यों कम होता है. As an agriculture graduate, you need to understand that because you see, it is not important to write these things in the mains. Okay, if you go in front of the intro panel, the question has been asked. So why nitrogen? This neem coated urea. Okay, fine. You can't say that it reduces the losses. Yeah.
Actually, government उसपे subsidize करती है, तो उसकी वजह से भी काफी use agriculture land उसका काफी ज़्यादा use.
See, urea is highly subsidized in India. isn't
The
it?
nitrogen which is released in soil is very slow when it was neem coated.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Yes,
very
yeah.
useful.
So the leaching losses are less.
Yeah.
Leaching losses are less when you are going for the neem coated urea, because it is highly mobile. Nitrogen is highly mobile. So there are volatilization losses. So when we see CN ratio, generally we see the CN ratio when we are applying any mulch, isn't it? Humus and all these things when we apply, when we add in the soil, we generally see the CN ratio. So what is the importance of CN ratio? Why we generally see the CN ratio? Why higher CN ratio material is not recommended for your application in the soil? What is the reason? Whenever the C content is more, the N content is less. What happens generally? C is required for the growth and development of the microorganisms in the soil. When soil has some microorganism and it is getting the C, what happens? The multiplication of the microorganisms starts to increase because of the C. But for the microorganisms to survive, what is needed? Nitrogen. In the nitrate form, it is required for the microorganisms for their growth and development. So what they start? They start to take the nitrates from the soil. And if the nitrates are exhausted from the soil, what does it mean? Nitrate is not available to the plants because nitrogen is required for the plants in which form? Nitrite and nitrate, isn't it? So that's why we study the CN ratio. Okay, that's why we study CN ratio. As I discussed earlier, puddling also. Say for example, now puddling. So generally in puddling also, why we go for the puddling operations? See, rice is the water intensive crop. Okay, fine. Water intensive crop, it requires a water. But when you apply water in the regular field, what will happen? Evaporation is secondary. First, what will happen? Infiltration losses will be there, isn't it? Water will percolate in your soil, isn't it? So why it percolates? Because of the pore space, isn't it? So there are the micropores and macropores. So when there are more macropores, water will start percolating, isn't it? But the puddling operation, under the puddling operation, what generally you are doing? You are breaking or you are closing the pore space. You are closing the pore space. And if the pores are not there, how will water infiltrate in the soil? First, okay, so you are creating a layer about the ground surface, which is a mixture of the water as well as the soil, which is not favorable for the weed control as well, weed growth as well, and due to which the water will also not percolate into the soil. That is the reason why we go for the puddling operation. We generally don't know this, isn't it? So how the weed control takes place under the if we go for the puddling, we write the advantages of the puddling. In the advantages, what we write? Weed control, isn't it? But how the weed control takes place? Because of this reason, that whatever the environment is created, it is neither aquatic, neither terrestrial. So that layer, it might be 4, 5, 6 centimeter. In that layer, the soil surface is not provided for the weed growth, and also it is not completely aquatic. It is the mixture of both. That's why the weed growth is not taking place. Okay. Again, problem soils and their reclamations can be asked repeatedly. It is asked repeatedly. Okay. Soil factors affecting greenhouse gas emission. So how soil factors affect the emission of the greenhouse? Because see, when we see in the prelims, the question has been asked repeatedly: zero tillage. What are the advantages of zero tillage? It is the carbon sequestration, isn't it? CO2 sequestration. But the soil factors can also be responsible for emission of the greenhouse gases. So what are those? So one question can be asked on this. Okay. So soil conservation, very easy topic. But the thing is that you have to enrich your answers, your notes with respect to the current affairs. So current related things you have to include it here. So what are the different government schemes? For the soil conservation, soil health card, drip irrigation is there again. So subsidies are being provided for the drip irrigation. Which is the scheme for drip irrigation? Krishi Sinchay Yojana. Per drop more crop. So those schemes you have to remember, you have to relate it here. Whenever you are writing the answer in the conclusion part, never miss to include these schemes in the conclusion parts. Okay, even the question has been asked, the advantages and disadvantages of the drip irrigation, never miss to write the conclusion. Any question you have to include introduction and the conclusion part. Introduction, body and conclusion, these are the three basic components of your answer. Okay, so in the conclusion part, you have to include these government schemes and initiatives. No? So in this dryland agriculture and its problem, again, the question has been repeatedly asked on this topic, dryland agriculture and its problems. So here again, you need to enrich your answers with government data, facts. So whenever you write a question, so it's not only you just write the problems of the dryland agriculture, or just don't mention the dryland agriculture definition and you write the points. You can draw here the India map. India map. So your presentation is also important. So how you are presenting your data, how you are presenting your answers. So the areas under, when it comes to India, 2/3 of India is under rainfed condition, isn't it? So you can show the areas which are under rainfed conditions. So then you can write the problems. So you can make some flow charts over here. So under watershed also, watershed management, many of the topics, they don't have the diagrams, but you can yourself develop your diagrams or the flow charts, mind maps. These are important. And nextly, the data from ICAR website, the data from Ministry of Agriculture, the data from the Kurukshetra, you can just pick it up and you can just make the notes of it. Okay, so those things you have to work on. Then technology for stabilizing agriculture in rainfed areas. It's the same topic again. Scheduling of irrigation, important topic. Question has been asked, what are the different ways and methods? Then rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting, the different rainwater harvesting technologies in India. Northeastern states, they have different technology. Rajasthan, we have different. Even in Maharashtra, we have different. In the northern states, we have different. Tamil Nadu, again, different. Okay, so you can include current rain harvesting technologies in that also. With when it comes to the India, sorry, Maharashtra, Raigan Siddhi is one of the you can say case study, rainwater harvesting, watershed management, isn't it? But in Chennai, I think so that there is government rule. Without rainwater harvesting, you can't build a building. You can't construct a building. Is it? So those things you have to just enrich. Okay. So drainage of waterlogged soils, again, drainage of waterlogged soils. Simple topic. The question has been asked repeatedly. So diagrams are important here. Quality of irrigation water, effect of industrial, never asked. Irrigation projects in India, never asked. I think so. It might have been asked, but not recently. Then comes to economics, agriculture economics and agriculture extension. Very important topic to fetch good marks. You can fetch very good marks from these two topics. But the thing is that you have to update yourself with current affairs. You have to update. You have to understand which are the different reforms in the marketing, which are the different reforms in the marketing systems, agriculture systems, different technologies, and agriculture extension as well, isn't it? So the marketing, methods of marketing, so the ways of spreading of the agriculture technology, which are the different methods, diffusion of the technology. So which are the different ways? Kiosks are there now, SMS, you can say these are the, okay, fine, old one, but new one. What are the new methods? Yes, agriculture apps are there. Nowadays, there are call centers are there. isn't it? Call centers. So many new technologies are coming up now. Okay. Okay. So this types and systems of farming and factors affecting them. Again, we will be learning in agronomy as well as here. Agriculture extension. As I said, it will give you good marks, but the only thing is that you have to enrich with current affairs, current technologies, current new any initiatives of Government of India, any initiatives of ICAR, new KVKs, all these things you have to include. If you have to get good marks. Don't write this. See, agriculture extension, I know how you guys would have written in your graduation. But the thing is that if you have to get good marks, see, easy topics are there, but the thing is that the way of writing should be unique. If the writing is unique, you will be getting more marks. Okay. Even the self-help groups, it is a part of your society, isn't it? So that questions will be asked again. Even in the society, we'll be studying the poverty, hunger, food security. That will be studied here in the paper 2 last topic. Okay. Any doubts in paper 1? Any doubts? Okay. So now paper 2. I think in paper 2, first section 8. Section 8 that is, you can say, genetics, crop physiology, plant breeding, high technology and seed technology. These are very easy topics and very important topics to get good marks. Because see, characteristics, okay, if they ask you to write the characteristics, if there are 4 characteristics, if you write 4 characteristics, you will get good marks. So, you will get good marks. Isn't it? So here you don't need to write extra, because in books also, in any research paper also, if there are only 4 points, why there is need to add extra points? Because examiner also knows that there are only 4 characteristics. From where you are bringing 5th character. So what we generally think, for the 15 marker, we are getting 3 pages. How we should fill it? But you are fulfilling the demand of the question, isn't it? So if you are thinking that I'm leaving 1 page blank, instead of that, then draw some flow charts, draw some diagrams over there, give some examples, case studies. Okay, so sex linked inheritance, sex limited characters. So difference are only 3-4. So in Indian Forest Service, the question was asked for 15 mark. Only differences are 4. If you draw a table also in half the page, your answer will be completed. But they have given 15 marker question and 3 pages for that. What you will write in 3 pages? Even in the standard books, standard reference book, in BD Singh or the Kundan Singh, if you see the books, only 3 to 4 differences are there. What you will write there? That's why I'm trying to tell you is that when it is technical in nature, the specific things you have to write, the most specific things. So what are the features of linkage, the crossing over? So if there are 8, write 8 only. Why you are writing 10, 12, 14, 15? It's not then why you are unnecessarily stretching your points. Okay, so don't do that. Well, that's why I'm telling you that this section A will be very important to get good marks. Okay, so in this genetics, cell, functions of cell, structures, cell organelles, questions have been asked repeatedly. So DNA and RNA, generally the questions are not been asked on DNA and RNA. One or the other question can be asked, but not repeatedly they have asked. Okay, not the focus. Laws of heredity, Mendel's laws. Question has been asked again. So here, whenever you see the Mendel's laws, examples are very important. Examples are very important. The genes, examples. Okay, ratios. Yes. What are the different types of ratios? Phenotypic, genotypic. Okay, fine. In phenotypic also.
First generation, second generation. What will be the
Monohybrid ratio, dihybrid.
Yeah.
Huh? 1:2:1. What is the ratio? It is genotypic or phenotypic?
phenotypic ratio?
So what is 3:1?
Genotypic ratio.
You are saying the vice versa.
Sorry.
1:2:1, it is the genotypic. 3:1, it is the phenotypic ratio. Okay, so those ratios, examples, you have to mention it there. So you can draw some flowcharts over there. You can just show how the genes are being mixed. So crossing over, how does it takes place? What is the offspring and all these things? If you draw a table also, it's completely fine. So the examiner doesn't have time to evaluate your hundreds of papers. So what he will generally see your keywords, and those keywords are very important. So just mention the keywords, just underline it, or you can make a box for it. So you can draw a flowchart for that. You'll get good marks over there. Ratio, just draw a box. Okay. Then coming to next, linkage and crossing over and chromosomal aberration. Very important topics. This polyploidy, you can say it is a chromosomal aberration, sort of chromosomal aberration. Okay, so linkage and crossing over, again, very important topic. Question has been asked repeatedly. Mutation, not much questions, but yes, easy topic. Only the agents can be asked deeply. Heritability, sterility, incompatibility. Sterility and incompatibility is important topic. Sterility and incompatibility. So what are the different types of sterility? Male sterility. Sterility means male sterility. Which are the different types of sterility? Cytoplasmic? No. Cytoplasmic and?
Cytoplasmic sterility.
Okay. Again? Genetic male sterility again? Cytoplasmic. Okay, these are the three types. And the fourth, you can go for the induced sterility. And incompatibility also is the same. Different types of incompatibility. What are the features? What are the applications of incompatibility? In the hybrid seed production, sterility and incompatibility plays a very important role in hybrid seed production. So one question was asked in UPSC. So if you go in the field, okay, if you go in the field and if you see the plants, how can you say that this is the cytoplasmic male sterility or genetic male sterility? So generally a question was asked for the UPSC means exam. So it is application based question. So you need to understand that. Okay. Cytoplasmic inheritance, easy concept, but can be asked again. Okay, so how it is again a part of plant breeding? You have to link there. Cytoplasmic inheritance is very important in the plant breeding topic. What do you mean by cytoplasmic inheritance? Are genes present outside the nucleus? Yes, where? Again? Okay, so where these organisms are present? In the cytoplasm or protoplasm? Where? It's in the cytoplasm. So it's not only the nucleus plays an important role in inheritance of the gene, but also the cytoplasm, means the mitochondria. But cytoplasm is given by your female, is the mother. Okay, so you can say the mother characters are inherent into the offsprings. Okay, it's nothing but the cytoplasmic inheritance. Okay, then coming to plant breeding methods can be asked. Most important are the methods. Then you can say molecular markers, biotechnology part, molecular markers, mass selection. These are very important topics. Okay. Somatic hybridization, again in the biotechnology, again very important topics. So what are the applications of somatic hybridization? The question has been asked repeatedly. Role of interspecific and intergeneric hybridization. And then again GM crops, the question can be asked because these are very specific topics which UPSC is generally focusing on. Okay, so coming to seed production, at least 2 questions can be asked, at least 2 questions on the seed production. So they can ask the processing, different methods of seed production, okay, or the method of seed certification or seed testing. The methods can be asked here. So what do you mean by DNA fingerprinting and seed registration? Generally question has not been asked. DNA fingerprinting can be asked only as short note. for 10 markers, you can expect a question on DNA fingerprinting, not more than that. That too, they can ask in compulsory question. Okay. Role of public and private sector, very important topic, has been asked again and again. IPR issues, current affairs topics, WTO issues, these are also current affairs topics. Then coming to plant physiology, crop physiology, this is very important topic. More questions are coming from this section, crop physiology. So you can say the cycles are being asked from this topic. Okay, so again the enzymes. Topic of the enzyme is very important here. So mechanisms of functions, how the enzymes functions, how they act on the different substances. The question has been asked. Then coming to here again, respiration. Okay. Photosynthesis and respiration questions have been asked repeatedly here. Only the cycles are been focused here. C3, C4 cycle, CAM is not more focused, but can be asked. Again, PS1 system, PS2 system. The question is asked repeatedly. Here the diagrams, flowcharts are important. Then going further, growth and development, photoperiodism and vernalization. These are again important topic for the short notes. So what do you mean by photoperiodism and vernalization? What is the difference between both? Yes. Yeah. What do you mean by photoperiodism and vernalization? Both are related to flowering of the plants, but the difference is one is not a day. It's not. See, photoperiodism again it is divided again short day plants, long day plants, and day neutral. But vernalization is dependent on the temperature, and photoperiodism it depends on the photoperiod. Means daylight or the length of the day. It depends on the light. Photo means light. Vernalization means it's depend on the temperature. Okay. Plant growth substances again specific. They can ask auxins and all these things they can ask. Okay. Dormancy again the question can be asked on this. Okay. Okay. Coming to horticulture. In the horticulture, generally they focus on the cultivation practice of the food crops, vegetables, and the flowers. In this also, they can ask you some specific practices, specific cultivation practices. Say, for example, which are the specific practices in the tomato, or pinching is done, isn't it? So, in which crops it is done, or why it is done. So, specifically, they can ask these questions. Okay, or they can ask the different diseases for banana. Give the control measure of 1 or 2 diseases. They can ask in this way. Entomology questions will generally won't be asked on the pest. They can ask integrated pest management. In that way, they can ask you the question. Storage grain pest, storage pest. The question can be asked. A very important topic. We have to do it in depth. So, what are the different storage practices? External feeder, internal feeder. The different pests are there. So, how they feed on the grains. So, what are the control measures? So, what are the difference between 2 different pests? Okay. So, the question will be asked on this. Then biological control again. Biological control for pest, disease, and even for your weeds. You have to by heart all the natural agents. Pesticide formulation. Again, one question can be asked: pesticide formulation or classifications of pesticide. And last topic will be your food security. You can say, in short, food security. You can say so. Different government schemes. What is the role of different vitamins? So how you can control the hunger, poverty in India. So what are the different schemes related to nutrition in India? So these are the various schemes or the topics which can be asked in your UPSC mains, but that too it will be current affairs, mostly current affairs. Static can be asked, but also focus on the current affairs. Okay, this is the last topic of our syllabus. Okay, so I've given you the this book list also. So for paper 1, paper 2, different book list I have given. So generally you can see here that many books are there, but generally all the books don't need to be purchased or used. Arun Katyan part 1 is must. Arun Katyan, Reddy is must. You can say few topics of Handbook of Agriculture. So few topics of Handbook of Agriculture, you can Xerox it. If you don't have the Handbook of Agriculture, you can Xerox it from someone else. Okay, few sections has to be there from Handbook of Agriculture. Then DK Das is a must book for soil science. Agriculture economics, you can refer either Subhariti or either you can refer Handbook of Agriculture. It's completely fine, or class notes also are sufficient. Economics of farm production and management, again class notes and the Handbook of Agriculture is sufficient. In paper 2, either BD Singh or Fundan Singh. If you want in-depth knowledge, go for BD Singh. Exam point of view, Fundan Singh is sufficient for both genetics and plant breeding. Plant physiology, Pandey Sinha or Jain. Pandey Sinha or Jain. I prefer Pandey and Sinha. If you want to go for Jain, you can just go for Jain. Okay. Horticulture topics, again very short notes, not for all. Graduation notes can be suffice. Okay, graduation notes. Textbook of Applied Entomology. For Applied Entomology, DS Reddy. This book is also must. Very short book is there, very short. This is of crop plants in India. G. Rangaswamy book is there separately, but don't need to purchase this book. You can use your practical manuals. Okay. Okay. So any doubt in this, online, offline students? So any doubts, any questions, anything? Anything? Yeah.
In crop physiology, for example, what I experienced and sharing with you. In crop physiology, I started making notes for
Okay.
the first time.
Okay.
I took a topic of seed plant growth.
Okay.
And I started noting the important things. I end up with a 10 pages to 12 pages of notes. What should I do in that manner, like seed growth?
Yeah. See, actually, I wanted to discuss that thing also about note making. So never ever prepare the notes for the first reading. What is the problem in the first reading? We think that each and every point is important. So what we generally do, we generally go for just making a summary of that book. Okay, and we write in sentence to sentence form, but that is not important. So notes making is very important. So I prepared my own notes. Okay, I have 3 spiral notes, 3 spiral books of agriculture optional only. But the thing is that you need to understand what has to be included in your notes. So whether it should be in the statement form or they should be in the keywords. So in the first reading, never ever prepare the notes. It is for optional or for GS part, because first reading is the blind reading. So to understand only, you need second reading. So what exactly is the topic? So what is important from exam point of view or not? That will be understood in the second reading only. First reading is completely blind reading. Everything will be considered as an important from exam point of view while reading for the first time. So never ever make notes for first time. And whenever you are preparing the notes, it should be in a concise form, not statement to statement. Linkage is very important for this. Why you need that? Why you need that? Isn't it? So advantages of the puddling, weed control, sufficient. Reducing the water losses, sufficient. So why need sentence to sentence? Don't do that. only concise notes, crisp manner notes has to be prepared. So how you will prepare it? So first, please don't ever make the notes in first reading. Go for the second reading, then you prepare the notes, and that too keep the syllabus in front of you and the previous year's questions. According to that, you can go for making notes. Okay. Anything? Yeah. Okay, fine. If you want to personally meet, I'll be there on last floor. You can come and meet. Okay. And one more thing, I forgot to tell. Class notes will be given. Sectional test will be there. Personal one-on-one mentoring will be there. So don't worry about the things that test will be there or not. Mentoring will be provided or not. And the notes will be provided. So don't worry about the notes, mentoring, and the tests. Okay. Class will take at least 200 to 225 hours of the classes. Okay. 200 to 225 hours. Not lectures, hours I'm talking about. Okay, so I guess for at least 5 months we'll be taking the classes. Okay. Any questions? If you want to meet me, I'll be there on the last floor. You can come and meet me.
So,
Yeah.
can you please give me like a basic structure how we should because we have only 5 months time before to have games. So what should be the basic plan like skeleton? Few days within these months we have to complete our first reading and after that start note making.
Okay. See, generally the thing is that whenever you go for the classes, okay, or the first reading, generally for first reading, at least it will take 2 months, 2 to 2.5 months. Okay, firstly. But what I'll suggest is that when you are reading something or what topic you are reading, whenever you are doing the revision, make the notes at that time. So you can say you complete 25% of the syllabus for paper one, go for the revision and start preparing the notes. But the thing is that you have to prioritize the topics which are important topics for the exam. So I will suggest, see, all of you are agriculture graduates. So paper 1 and 2 doesn't make difference. If you have decided to go for agriculture as an optional, I will just say go for paper 2 first. Okay, go for paper 2. So the highlighted points you can make it. Okay, so understand the topic. While revision for the second reading, go for the preparing of the notes. So second paper, it will take at least 1.5 months to read everything. Okay, so you can keep 1.5 months for your notes making. So 3 months at least for complete notes along with 2 readings will be required only for paper 2. Paper 1 generally will take less time. Paper 1 will generally take less time. So within 2 months also you can cover paper 1 along with the notes. Okay. Just a minute. You see, class timings and schedule of the courses will be you will get in the office. Okay, you want contact number. Okay, you can just note it down. Contact numbers if you want. Seven 17 26 1201.
Sir,
Yeah.
could you please repeat your contact number?
7517 26 1201. Yeah. The same number is for Telegram. You can message me on Telegram. Don't message me on WhatsApp, please. Okay. Fine. Okay. Let's stop it here. Okay.